how many of you guys have one of these, or at least recognize what these apps are? Perfect. Well, how many of you would want to pay to go onto these apps? Good. Well, you might have to pay to go on these apps to view such eclectic, classic internet content as cats playing the piano. Most of us don't want that. However, this man wants that. But before I get into who this man is, what he wants, and how he'll get what he wants, let me give you a little background. So, on December 10th, 1948, the United Nations General Assembly met in Paris and drafted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this Declaration of Human Rights is 21 articles basically addressing 21 unalienable human rights that should be granted to all humans. Specifically, Article 19 states that everyone has the freedom of opinion and expression through any media or form of media. But how does that connect to the man before? So, according to Colin Mollow's 2002 article implementing the Telecommunications Act of 1996, these three companies hold 90% of market control in telecommunications companies. But how does that connect to the UN? Well, the UN said that all humans have the right of freedom of expression and opinion through any media necessary. These three companies control 90% of the media market in the United States. In Stephen Anderson's 2014 article, he goes on to explain how these three companies set up the infrastructure necessary to expand internet to what it is today. What that means for us is the infrastructure used to expand internet is controlled by these three companies, making it hard for users to get what they want. And then in Jae-Pil Choi and Woo-Young Chul Kim's 2010 article, Net Neutrality and Investment Incentives, they discussed the 2005 ruling of the FCC where they changed these three companies' classification from telecommunication services to information services. And that's important to note because now these three companies, as of 2005, are recognized as informational services. And how does that connect to payment? So, just a brief definition from Merriam-Webster. Net neutrality is the idea, principle, or requirement that internet service providers, such as AT&T, Verizon, and Comcast, should or must treat all internet data as the same regardless of its kind, source, or destination. What this means is internet service providers, or ISPs, are required to treat all information the same no matter who's looking it up, where you're looking to get it, or what you're looking up. And this is important because of the 2005 ruling that telecommunication companies are now information services. This, therefore, makes those telecommunication companies bound by Article 19 of the Declaration of Human Rights. And in 2010, there was the court case between the FCC and Comcast. Comcast wanted to basically challenge the FCC's jurisdiction on net neutrality, and because of this, the FCC began to redraft their net neutrality principles, and that's where we go in 2014 with President Obama's speech on net neutrality. President Obama says, "More than any other invention of our time, the internet has unlocked possibilities we could just barely imagine a generation ago." If you think about that, that statement is very true, because 20 years ago, we would not have some of the technological advancements that we have today without the internet. In his 2014 speech, he brought forth three main points that ISPs should not be able to do with net neutrality. no throttling, and no paid prioritization. What do those three terms mean? So ISPs should not be able to block sites based on who you are or what you're searching. They should not be able to throttle your data speeds, which means like they should not be able to slow down your data based on what you're looking at. And there should be no paid prioritization. And that means you should not have to pay in order to access certain parts of the internet. And then on June 11th, 2018, the man that you saw in the beginning, Mr. Ajit Pai, he is the chairman of the FCC, and he began action to repeal net neutrality. And what this means is those three main points that President Obama brought forth, the no blocking, no paid prioritization, and no throttling, are all fair game for internet service providers to basically wreak havoc with. So your internet company might be able to block you from going on CNN because their views don't align with CNN. They might be able to slow down your internet because you're watching too much Netflix. And they might be able to make you pay extra money to go on certain apps, like social media. This is what an example of the packaged internet would look like. This is an extreme example of what Ajit Pai's repeal of net neutrality may look like. And as you can see, it's very similar to what cable companies look like, where you pay a base fee and you get access to a few things. You pay more, you get more access, and you pay the most and you get unlimited access. This is an example of paid privatization, which was one of President Obama's main points. However, in another article by J. Pil Choi, and this article is titled Net Neutrality in Business Models, he brought forth the idea that without net neutrality regulations, ISPs would be able to experiment with more business models. This would help them to be able to expand their business ventures and basically get more control of the market. But is that helpful when three companies control 90% of the telecommunications market? That's where I say no. So there's a foundation called Fight for Our Future. They have a website set up that is called battleforthenet.com. Battleforthenet.com allows citizens or everyday people to use pre-formatted emails, text messages, and phone calls sent to your congressman or woman, depending on your area. Basically, plug in your name, where you're from, and your feelings on net neutrality, and they will do the necessary steps to help you contact your congressman or woman with your concerns. And so since the start of this website on June 11, 2018, they have sent out 19,840,200 emails to congressmen and women fighting for net neutrality. They've made 1,934,639 phone calls and sent out 537,546 messages to Congress via text message. That is a staggering amount, but it isn't enough. I'm asking all of you to go onto this website. So this man can't make you do this in order to go on these to watch this. Thank you.